Hey, what's up, everyone? It's another BRAP. It's Wednesday, and we got a lot to talk about. This weekend actually kicks off Summer Games Fest, so it's going to be exciting. What a great time to be a gamer, by the way. Geez, I mean, the first 6 months of this year have been absolutely fantastic, and the month of June is just... Look, Diablo IV just dropped. We have Final Fantasy 16. I mean, just it's a great time to be a gamer, and I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks. I do want to welcome everyone in the live chat to the show. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Really appreciate your time, as always. Please do me a quick favor. I'm going to drop the link in the live chat here. Please do me a solid, retweet the link. Drop it on your favorite social media platform and let everyone know that we're live. I do have with me this evening, I have Game Logic. What's up, Game Logic?
How much, man? You?
Man, I started playing Diablo IV today.
Good to see you put your big boy pants on.
Come on, man. Are you saying that because I've been playing Zelda? Is that Nintendo slander? Are you trying to say Nintendo makes kiddie games?
No, it's just because you've been wanting to play Diablo 4, so I've just been wanting you to be an adult and make a decision.
Ah, yes. Yeah, no, and I bought the ultimate, was it the Ultimate Deluxe? The edition that's $100. That's the one that I ended up purchasing. So, look, I've only played a little bit of the of Diablo 4, maybe an hour so far. Most of what I played during the beta, and just enjoying it. I went with the Druid class again, as I did with the beta. So looking forward to running some games with you, Slow-Mo, Mooch, and some other gamers I've talked to that have the game as well. So,
so now why did you buy the $100 version?
Why did I buy it? I couldn't hear you there, Hamp. You broke up, but
yeah. Like, why did you buy? What comes with it that's of any significance?
Well, the thing that the thing that jumped out at me was that version allows you to jump 20 levels when the battle pass comes out, like automatically jump 20 levels. And I said, okay, I don't have time. I don't have a lot of time per se to grind as much as I would like. So to me, there was value in that. I was like, you know what? I'm going to pay the extra $30 to jump 20 levels for the battle pass.
I have a very difficult time reconciling what type of gamer you are, because you're a Souls person, an Elden Ring person. Like you are the thesis for the type of gamer who just likes to grind and put in the work. But then I won't buy a battle pass I won't buy a thing that lets you jump 20 levels. I'm like, no, you're supposed to do the grind and earn through those levels. So I just find that an interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain games that I'll do it, but there's certain games where I'm just like, and part of it, honestly, Hamp, in this case is I'm still playing Tears of the Kingdom. So I don't know, and Final Fantasy 16 comes out. So for me, it was like, you know what, I'll take the 20 level jump, and I'll grind the rest of the battle pass. I did similar things with Halo Infinite, and I've done it with Call of Duty. Well, actually, no, I haven't done as much with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. So it's 20 levels, because as you were talking about it, I was like, yeah, but what is 20 battle pass levels in Diablo? Like, it's 20 levels, but it's not 20. It's not 20 class levels. Like you don't jump to barbarian level 25. So like I don't even know what a Diablo like season pass level is. I mean, I guess it's going to unlock cosmetics, and I think that's one of the. I think maybe the reason then that I also was different from it was because like we don't know what that looks like. Like we don't know what the regular battle pass season cosmetics look like, because the only cosmetics there are in the game. Well, first of all, I think I said it when we talked about Diablo, right? It's like you get cosmetics in Diablo. It's been an inherent part of the game. You equip a piece of equipment and it changes your appearance. So now there's going to be battle pass cosmetics, but now there's also platinum cosmetics. And I'm like, I can't see them differentiating between 3 different levels of cosmetics enough to make me care. But we'll see.
Yeah, and so the ultimate edition of Diablo 4 So it includes, it accelerates seasonal battle pass unlock, which is I can't even talk. 20 tier skips and a cosmetic, Wings of the Creator emote, Temptation mount, and Hellborn Carapace mount armor. So those are the items of things that come with that tier for Diablo 4.
Okay.
So yeah, so like I said, I've been playing an hour. I'm enjoying it, and hopefully, I don't know if I'll have time this weekend. Hopefully, I have some time. Having some family coming in town this weekend, so I'm not sure if I'll have time to grind out some more. But hopefully, I do. And the other thing I was thinking too, Game Logic. I was thinking the other day, so when the Steam Deck was announced, I did pre-order, but I never pulled the trigger on the Steam Deck. I'm like, this would be a nice. This game would complement the Steam Deck well, where I could just sit on the couch and just grind on Diablo 4, and do some multitasking as I'm doing with the Nintendo Switch with Tears of the Kingdom. So, but anyhow, all right.
Yeah, and I'm just partially, it's just me giving you flack. So.
No, I know. Give me a sec here, everyone. I need to tweet something out here, or actually drop a link here. Give me a second here. So, Ham, did you see the Super Mario Brothers movies being released, I think, next week? Did I read that correctly?
No, I'm part of the cult of Aaron Greenberg, and like you said, as a gamer, I don't pay attention to movies and TV shows.
Wow. Yeah. That's funny, man. Hey, what's up, B Money?
What's going on, fellas?
Not much, man. Hey, B, did you hear? I'm trying to look this up. I thought I read somewhere that the Super Mario Brothers movie's coming out next week.
What are you talking about? You talking about on Blu-ray?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some people already got it.
So it is coming out it is coming out next week on Blu-ray.
Yeah. Yeah, some people already got it. Yeah, that's definitely a must cop.
Oh yeah, it's out right now.
Yeah, I think it released early. Like some like Target and a couple other places like shipped it earlier than it was supposed to release. Cause I think it might have supposed to release like this Tuesday, but I think people were getting it early.
Yeah, I'm looking at my local Walmart Hamp.
Well, with Walmart, you got to be careful that that's not the bootleg version that they're selling early.
That Walmart slander. It remind me to tell. Actually, you too, B. Remind me to tell you all about my experience tonight. The local carnival.
Oh, carnivals are always fun.
Yeah. All right. I need to. Yeah. So it looks like. What the hell? Hold on a sec here. I'm looking at my local Walmart here, see if it's... All right, so it's not available at my local Walmart, but it's available at another Walmart that's like 30 minutes from where I live. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a Power Up Edition, the 4K Ultra 4K version. It's it's $29.96.
Yeah.
There you go. Wow. That's why I feel like I just saw that movie at the movie theater.
You did.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I didn't think it would release that soon.
Hey,
yeah,
man. It's still the biggest movie of the year, right? Or did Spider-Man pass it?
Super Mario Brothers, as of 3 days ago, has hit 1.3 billion globally.
Yeah, I think it's still the biggest movie of the year.
Yeah, I think so far it is. I don't know what Spider-Man, I forgot what the new Spider-Man animated movie's called.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Thank you, B. So I still need to see that. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh man, it's amazing.
Oh, I've heard a lot of people say that it's really good.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
When I see people that I'm connected with on social media, they're like, look, I'm not a Spider-Man fan or a comic book fan, but I absolutely love this movie. I've seen a lot of that chatter about this movie. It's, yeah. It's big. Yeah, definitely saying that Star Wars, that Super Mario Brothers has been on digital for like a month. Really?
Yeah, it went on digital pretty quick.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to buy this and watch it in Blu-ray and hopefully supports Dolby Atmos so I can fire up my Atmos surround sound on my 65-inch OLED C1. Have a couple adult beverages and watch the movie. Yeah, Nate says Spider-Man was fire. All right, so this week, end of the week, we'll officially kick off Summer Games Fest. B, are you excited, man?
No.
No, why?
I'm interested. I'm not excited though.
Really? I thought you might be excited for Summer Games Fest.
Nah, see, like, I love Jeff. I've hung out with him a few times. I'd done a couple podcasts with him. But like, every single year, he hypes these shows up like they're just going to be this amazing gaming event. We're going to see, all these great reveals and all this nonsense, and it is never that. We might see one great game, maybe two. Other than that, it's going to be games that we already know about. We're going to see a bunch of updates. He's going to say it's some, world premiere of some game we already saw like 2 weeks ago. And it's going to go on for way too long. And people are going to be like, yo, what's happening here? So I can't get excited. I'm interested to see what he has there. I think he said there's 4 announcements that should have, gaming fans pretty excited. So we'll see what those are. But I'm not with any expectations.
Hey B, you're breaking up there, man.
Oh yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I haven't seen, and again, I really haven't been keeping up. I haven't been on Twitter much the last couple of days, but I really haven't been following Jeff too much. But I don't think Jeff has really hyped it up this much. I haven't seen as much hype from him this year as previous years. And I could be wrong, but I just haven't seen it.
What's that?
Yeah, I was just saying I haven't seen that much hype from Jeff this year as previous years.
No, I mean he's sprinkled it across the timeline about, there's supposed to be these 4 big things that should get gamers pretty excited and whatnot. And it's just like, okay, we'll see. You know what I mean? Like, it's always weird because, like, I feel like the presenters of these shows, they think that they have, like, some amazing announcement, and then, like, when they announce it and it doesn't hit like they thought they were, like it was, and then it's like, wasn't that big of an announcement. But in their mind, it's like, oh, is this big thing. But, like, most of the time, most people don't care.
Hey, B, can you hear? I'm having some mic difficulty. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Something's going on. Like my mic started blinking. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm sorry about that. Yeah. But I think like he's had what was the big announcement he had last year, Summer Games Fest? Was it oh geez, I can't remember because I'm old. I'd have to go back and look. But I feel like in previous years, like he's had some big announcements. Like he had wasn't The Last of Us? Wasn't Naughty Dog was there one year, right? To talk about The Last of Us Part 2?
Yeah, that was last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I don't remember. Yeah, I mean, so he's had some.
Yeah, but even that, like they announced the show, and they showed us like some concept art of the game. They didn't even show us the game, so it's like.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they showed up. Woohoo! Like Naughty Dog was there, but it wasn't like some big thing where everybody can really get excited about it. It's like, yo, you showed us concept art of a game that we have known about for like 3 years, like, and we still have not seen anything about the game besides this concept art that you're showing us.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So B, you're, so needless to say, you're just not overly excited, overly hyped for some of this game. Okay, that's
not
fair.
at all.
That's fair. What about you, Hamp? Is there anything that are you excited about the upcoming Summer Games Fest?
I mean, I'm kind of like where B is, but for different reasons. I mean, I'm down on it. I think maybe from from where I would have been in the past history, just because it's no longer E3. So you get this weird mishmash dynamic of some developers and publishers who come in who it is their one opportunity to show a thing, right, in a given year where they're going to be paid any attention to. And then you get some other people who are just coming in and kind of just phoning it in, right? Because, and I hate to say it, but, if Sony shows up at the core show tomorrow, it's kind of like an also ran. It's like, it's the small bit of slop that they left over from their own showcase, a month ago or a few weeks ago. So, I don't necessarily know that it's going to be anything super big. There are some niche areas where I have particular interests, right? Where I'm, more interested in watching, and that's the PC gaming show, which isn't until Sunday. I'm interested to see what Xbox does for the Xbox and Starfield show, but that's not really out of gaming interest. That's more out of just kind of marketing case study, business case study interest, because as a gamer, that show does nothing for me. And I'm curious to see what Ubisoft does on Monday.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that's coming up now, I'm just like, I'll read the highlights when I get home.
Yes. See, I'm interested to see what Ubisoft shows. You know what I mean? Like, they've kind of gone through some turmoil the last couple of years, and they're trying to redirect, what they're doing with their titles. I'm interested to see what they show. I was excited to see that Capcom announced that they're kind of doing their own thing. They're going to have a showcase, so hopefully we see more Dragon's Dogma and hopefully some other things from their past. I know Mega Man has been like a hot topic the last couple of years, so maybe we see a new Mega Man. There's a lot of things that Capcom could announce, coming off the high that they've had the last couple of years, where they, really, brought themselves back, since bringing Monster Hunter back. So we could see a new Monster Hunter game, just because that was part of the NVIDIA leak, like last year or the year before that, and that hasn't been announced yet. So maybe we see that. Things like that I'm interested in. Hopefully, we see those things, but still nothing to be like overly hyped or excited about, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have those. I suspect we're not gonna have those E3 moments at this show. But I am interested, like you said, Ham. I'm interested in the PC show, Ubisoft as well. Obviously, yeah, Xbox. Interested to see what Sony might show, if they show anything, which I think they probably will. But yeah, I can't say that I'm overly hyped. I'm excited to see what some of the developers have, cooking right now. But right now, with the amount of games that are releasing currently right now, I can't say that my mind's really focused on a lot of the great content that we're getting. Like, we just got Diablo IV, Street Fighter 6 just released as well. And then we have Final Fantasy 16 coming out. So, Ham, I was just reading the live chat here, and it looks like somebody wanted you to talk about, was it Capono? I got to find it now.
Yeah, about the
Capono,
Apple Vision Pro.
The Apple, the $3,500 reality headset, yep. Because that was there was some chatter around that. We talked about that off air, that there was some comparisons to gaming devices, peripherals, things like that. But yeah, let's talk about that, because I know Capono wanted to get your thoughts, and I know we talked about it behind the scenes.
Yeah. So, and while I'm talking, if you guys think my mic is still too loud in chat, just let me know. So Capoto, your comment about Apple charging $3,500 for a mixed reality headset. I think, and I'm not picking on your articulation of it. It's an articulation that I've been picking on. It's still loud. Wow. It's
Yeah,
an articulation. What's that?
I think you sound fine about it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's yeah, but I'll be responsive to the chat if they think it's too loud. Um, yeah, and like I said, it's not you that I'm picking on, but it's an articulation that I've been picking on. Is Apple's not charging people $3,500 for a mixed reality headset. And if you go to all of the Apple branded and the Apple ad copy about this device, it's not an AR VR headset. It is essentially a portable computer where instead of a 23-inch, 27-inch display like you would get with an iMac, you're getting that display in a headset, right? So it runs with the M2 processor, which is the same processor that powers the 13-inch MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro, the uh, um, the MacBook Air, um, and will have its own storage and will have its own RAM. So I put, somebody pointed me to this comparison, and I thought it was really pertinent. I had kind of mentioned it, but hadn't really gone at it specifically. So the Microsoft HoloLens is the exact in a similar type of device. HoloLens 2. HoloLens 2 runs standalone. Doesn't need a PC to run it. It runs Windows 10 on board. It has 4 gigabytes of LPDDR RAM and a 64 gigabyte hard drive, essentially. Um, the the Vision Pro will have better specs than that because Apple is going to align that SKU with other SKUs that it has in its product lineup, and nothing in its product lineup. I'm pretty sure today, I don't think any SKU in any of its product lines has anything less than 128 gigabytes of storage. So you can expect that as kind of the minimum. I think one of the reasons they haven't released specs on it yet is because of that, because there's lots of movement going around with supply and pricing of memory and storage, and what that exact spec is going to be. They're probably going to hold off on announcing till later, and until they see what they're going to do with the rest of their product lines and what's going to be available. But I've seen lots of people describe this as, oh, well, they're charging $3,500 for it, and the HTC Valve Index is only 1,000. Or great Scott, like the thing that I think is really ludicrous is the comparison to the PlayStation VR 2. The PlayStation VR 2 is a useless hunk of plastic and glass if it is not connected to a PlayStation 5. That is not what this is. This device will run Vision OS. It is essentially, you're going to have an iPad Pro or a MacBook Pro, like I said, in portable format with a battery pack that will allow it to run for 2 hours. You plug it into the wall, it runs forever. It has its own app store. And so you're going to be able to go download apps. You're going to have productivity apps that you can bring up. I'm not sure. Eventually, I'm sure it is going to have a version of all the Adobe apps. I'm not sure, what level of fidelity they're going to run like on this device. But there's a good chance that they will run as well as they do on an iPad Pro. So it's just an entirely different device. And instead of thinking about it as, why would I buy that instead of a PSVR 2, or why would I buy that instead of an HTC Valve Index? The question is really, why would I buy that instead of an iMac? Why would I buy that instead of an all-in-one PC? Why would I buy that instead of a Dell XPS? Why would I buy that? I think Alienware is really out of whack in terms of like what type of device it is, because it's not a dedicated gaming device, or even similar to a dedicated gaming PC. But it's far more. It's a far better analogy to compare it to. Why would I buy that instead of a traditional all-in-one desktop PC or a high-end multimedia-focused, productivity-focused, general-purpose computer? Referring to it as a AR/VR headset to me is like calling a gaming computer a calculator, right? A gaming computer can do calculations, and it probably comes with a calculator app, but it is one of the functions that it does. Playing games is one of the things that that the Vision Pro PC will do. Um, but it's one very small use case amongst several dozen use cases. Whether or not the pricing's right, obviously it's an Apple device, right? So again, the way I would look at it is I would look at iMac pricing, I would look at Mac Pro pricing, I would look at iPad Pro pricing, and if you look at that, it fits in between. It's higher end than I think the highest end MacBook Pro SKU is like $2,800 at base, and then obviously if you trick it out, you're going to pay a lot more. The Mac Pro I think I can't remember exactly because I don't look at that often because it's never something I'm interested in buying. I think it's like $5,000 or $6,000, so it sits somewhere in between there, right? Obviously, you're going to pay, through the nose for an Apple device, but the nearest thing on the market in comparison to it is the HoloLens 2, and the HoloLens 2 is priced at exactly $34.99. So I mean, quite frankly, for the capabilities it has, I don't think it's way out of whack with market parity. But they're going to try and market this thing and get it down to consumers. But to do that, they're going to have to drive the price down. Obviously, right now it's a prosumer type of device that would probably be targeted by very high end developers, people who are looking at getting into that market to develop apps for it. And a certain type of knowledge worker, probably people in multimedia. I think, one application for this we might see, and what I think might be super interesting is, a big buzzword that goes around today is low code and no code. And one thing that I think might be super interesting, and it's going to be Unity compatible. So one of my questions that I came up with from a use case perspective is, what if spatial computing and Vision OS allow you to program games in Unity using kinematics, right? Actually using your hands to actually reach into a 3D space and articulate 3D models, right?
Rather like than Tony Stark.
Well, I mean, that's what you see all the comparisons to now, right? Or Tony Stark and Minority Report. So, things like that, might be interesting. So, yeah, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, and I do agree with you that the comparisons to the PlayStation VR 2 were off base. I don't know why anybody would compare it. I mean, when I was reading about the device, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't really this isn't a peripheral like you said earlier. Like, you need the PlayStation 5 in order for the PSVR 2 to work. This is the equivalent of just having a desktop or a laptop. I mean, in goggle form, I guess, if you want to call it goggles, but basically wearing it on your head. So
yeah, and some guys in the chat asked good questions. Who's this product aimed for, like career wise? And somebody brought up NASA, and actually that's a really good use case, right? In one of my and in a lot of software engineering that we do today, we do a ton of what we call MBSE or model-based systems engineering, where a lot of times source code is auto-coded out of the development of a model, right? So we've built engineering plants for 36 megawatt generators based out of MBSE, and so rather than writing the source code line by line by line to control that generator, people have built models and then utilized partnerships with MATLAB to then auto code C# code out of those models. And so, again, you could see where an application like that by an engineer wearing a Vision Pro might be able to do something like that in AutoCAD, in an even easier way than working in MATLAB. You could definitely see, I think I've mentioned before, I've done lots of applications with machinery control and industrial controls with very large-scale vehicles, large-scale systems, and being able to take a ship and work engineering matters in terms of buoyancy, center of mass, center of gravity. Play with a model to see how it's impacted by flooding in different compartments. Those are the type of applications that I would expect to potentially see first. professionally. But then the question really is, well, how do you then get that to consumers? And I think one obvious way is, obviously the Pixar guys, right, are probably already have these things or have already envisioned applications for them. And then you move downscale to, like I mentioned, prosumer multimedia consumers, right, who may want to then use those same types of applications as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, Hamp. I wish Slomo was here because someone would be asking me if I'd be buying this because of FOMO, and the answer to that is no. No, I will not be buying this device. I got to say, though, it's pretty cool, though. It is pretty cool. And I got to say, the design looks really nice. It's a nice-looking device.
And I think the thing that's been frustrating me is, and no offense to you, but you bring up a good, kind of typification of the scenario that I've seen going around today. Like if you're not already involved in questions of these types of devices, right? Meaning these high-end prosumer level devices, then there's really zero point in you being involved in a conversation, drawing comparison to this versus tools that you use today. Because you weren't in the market when it was in the $2,000 level. If you're not already on a 16-inch MacBook Pro, then you're already way outside of the market that anybody seeking this device would ever look for, right? So there are lots of people who, just utilize tools that are several tiers below this today, that are positing the question, why would I ever want to use? Well, you were never interested in the things that exist below that tier as it is, right? And there's one thing there's a common axiom that kind of goes around about Apple devices that I think applies to this one as well. Like if you don't make your living, if you don't get paid, right, based on the type of equipment that you buy, then this is probably not for you, right? The person who's going to go out and buy this device is the person who has a use case or makes a living by the things that this device will enable. And they will go out and pay $3,500 for it because paying that $3,500 is maybe the thing that permits them to make, right, a six-figure salary or more per year as an independent contractor or as an independent developer. And so people who are outside that bubble, like I said, could probably just let this whole topic go by and not get too deep into it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Like somebody asked me on Twitter if I was buying. I'm like, no, I'm not the addressable market for this device. It's just not me. Not something I would do. I don't have a $3,000 MacBook or Mac desktop or whatever I just don't. If this was something that was priced in that $1,000 range, I might consider it.
Yeah, and the problem is we got here because the media has run around and talked about this thing as a VR AR headset, alluded to it being a competitor to other devices. Like the other than the HoloLens, the nearest thing to it is the MetaQuest, which allows some of the similar standalone applications. But it certainly doesn't offer the office productivity and other approaches that this device is going to be able to do. So
yeah, this device is beyond that. Yeah, no, I understand. Yeah, no. I do want to move to something because this actually just came up today on Twitter, and this is actually going to be a segue to our main topic this evening with the Xbox showcase. But Matt Piscatella tweeted out of NPD. Well, it's not NPD anymore. It's called Circana, but I will refer to them as NPD. As Circana just hadn't stuck with me yet. But Matt actually tweeted something out earlier today on Twitter. For those who don't know, Matt Piscatella is he's the executive director and video game industry analyst at Circana. He actually used to work at Activision Blizzard and Warner Brothers Games. And he said he, according to his Twitter profile, helped greenlight one of your favorite games. So Matt said the growth of video game subscription spending has stalled, according to Circana's Game Markets Dynamics reporting. April 2023, sub-spending in the U.S. was only 2% higher than April 2022. Finding new subscribers beyond the console ownership base has proven very difficult thus far. He then went on to tweet, on the other hand, the big new premium releases in 2023, he's talking about video game releases here, have done exceptionally well in good old-fashioned sales, particularly high in digital, although Tears of the Kingdom has sold heaps physically as well. Should be an interesting week ahead. So that was Matt's tweet today. I thought it was kind of an interesting perspective. And I think, one that we've talked about in terms of, we talked about Game Pass here and PlayStation Plus and, the growth of subscriptions and Zal Strelnick's comments on the subscription model. Hamp, I know you talked about, I think, about a year ago that I think you may have mentioned that you thought that the Game Pass subscriptions have kind of stalled a little bit. But these are interesting numbers. I think these are kind of give you a little bit of insight to what's going on with the market, how the market's reacting to subscription services, and kind of the wall that those sub services have hit with regards to the console ownership or console base, and then contrasting that with what Matt's saying, the big new premium AAA releases in 2023 doing exceptionally well with the traditional sales model. So, B, go to you with this. Any surprise here by Matt's reporting? I should say,
Not at all.
Surprised? Are you surprised, I should say?
I'm not surprised at all. This is what I've kind of been saying from the beginning. Like it's great to have a subscription to something. More than likely, when you're interested in something, you're going to spend your money on it. You know what I mean? Like, it's great that we have Netflix, and it's great that we have Hulu and Spotify and all these other things that are subscription-based services. But when a big new movie comes out, like the Super Mario movie that we were talking about, that's grossed over $1 billion, people go out to the theater and see it. You know what I mean? So people will put their money where the mouth is. And the as far as the gaming subscription services are concerned, I don't think people aren't getting exactly what they kind of expected from it. As far as like having every big game kind of released in their subscription, so that's kind of where you see the standard model still flourishing. But I think Microsoft has a chance to change that. If they can ever get their games kind of releasing at a consistent cadence, and they're all top tier releases, and people are really kind of gravitating to that. Maybe they can kind of change the narrative there. But at the end of the day, every big game isn't going to be there. You know what I mean? Your big EA game, your big Activision game, or maybe Activision, but your big 2K, you know what I mean, things like that from these other publishers, they aren't going to be there day one. So without that, people will continue to purchase games outside of subscriptions, and that model will still prove to be one that'll continue to grow as long as big releases are not in the subscription.
Yeah. And that speaks to what Matt was reporting in that tweet. Real quick, I want to get the super chat from J-Dub. What's up, J-Dub, with the $5 super chat? He says, same dudes who spent $2,000 for a GPU saying Vision Pro is too expensive. F out of here. Just say it's not for you. Simple. I'm there day one. It's for me. Thank you for that super chat, J-Dub. So it looks like J-Dub will be buying the Apple Vision Pro on release. But yeah, I want to go to you, Logic. What are your thoughts on Matt's commentary on subscription services and new game sales?
I mean, I obviously agree with Matt, what Matt stated as far as it being like factual, financial, and market data. I mean, I've been saying the same thing about Microsoft for quite some time, that there's obviously a reason that they stopped reporting Game Pass subscription numbers in January of 2022. I mean, we haven't heard anything really about this. We hear the same types of things that we heard about Azure for years, which is, blah, 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 sales, revenue, or whatever KPI metric, they choose is up, right? Or is over blah, right? But I'm like, okay, but 30% of zero is still zero, right? So like, what does that mean? We never know. And that's fine. I mean, I don't really question that those things are growing. I mean, at least with Azure and cloud, like I work in the space, right? I can see tangible, evidence of its growth of market share. Um, but I mean, subscriptions, as you mentioned, it has been hitting an addressable base. I think for a while I've been saying, you would expect that the people who are on Game Pass, 99% of them are already owners of the console. But the whole point of Game Pass strategically was to start to address the market of people who can't afford the console. And so it doesn't really mean anything in terms of market share growth until you start hitting that demographic. Like, quite honestly, selling a Game Pass subscription to somebody who already owns an Xbox doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot. Where I pump the brakes on it a little is still whether or not, the subscription-based service offering, whether that means that's dead and a non-viable approach to a business model. I would say, at least for Xbox, who I put their number of installed user base right now somewhere between 50 and 80 million at a way outside chance, right? They're probably more like 50 to 65. But what I would say is without Game Pass, those numbers would be even lower today. So, it's done something for them, whether or not it is the ladder that they can use to clamber back really into the race and really into the game and really start addressing the market and really growing the market in a direction that Sony's not tapping. That kind of remains to be seen, but that effort is certainly stalled at this point. And I don't know. Maybe that's why they need the Activision stuff, right? To make people who have phones that they have to buy, want to get on board with Game Pass so that they can play Call of Duty on a mobile phone. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. You mentioned, the thing that kind of stood out to me too about this reporting from BRAP Piscatella, like obviously Game Pass presents a tremendous value add, but kind of what you said about Game Pass and allowing Microsoft to get people into gaming who maybe couldn't afford traditional ways of entering into console gaming. And they not only just do that with Game Pass, but they also do it with they have that program where you can I guess pay like monthly for a series console. I forget what they call it.
All access.
Is it all access? Thank you, all access. But even with that being said, and Game Industry Biz had an article out today talking where they were discussing console sales numbers here. And yes, the PlayStation 5 did see sales drop at 23% month on month, but year over year though, PlayStation 5 is still up 81%. But if you look at the Xbox Series X to Xbox Series X, year over year, those sales are down 19%. And, for the Nintendo Switch is down 8%. Now, I had this conversation before and someone said, oh, well, Nintendo's down too. I'm like, yeah, well, no shit, Nintendo's down. I mean, they probably hit a market saturation point now with just how many Nintendo Switch consoles they've sold now. I mean, what are they at with like 150 million Switches sold or something? I mean, they're at a point now at what?
I think it's like 130.
Is it 130?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and that device is 6 years old now, so I mean they're just at a point now where that's naturally going to happen. That at this point in that platform's life cycle, but to see the Xbox, even with all those things, all those value propositions of Game Pass and the all access, giving people the opportunity to go out and get an Xbox without having to fork up $500 or $300 up front. Again, these are UK numbers from Game Industry Biz, but to see the year-over-year sales of the console down 19%, 3 years into the generation, I don't know, that raises some eyebrows for me, and I think maybe that speaks to something what you said earlier, B, that they need those games, they need something, and like we talked about Game Logic, I think it was earlier this week, they need something to move that needle, and somebody. You had a great response though. Someone said, well, why do people care about something that moves a needle? You had a great response to that comment on Twitter, Ham. Could you, because I don't remember, and I was trying to look for the tweet, I couldn't find it. But could you give the listeners your response to that commentary? Like when we talk about how Xbox needs games to move the needle?
Oh, man. Yeah, I will give me a little bit to rummage for it. I'll find it.
All right. So, but I think that those things, I mean, again, I think there's certain things when we talk about the performance of Xbox, and again, that's not we're not here saying that, Xbox is a terrible platform. You shouldn't, if you own an Xbox, like, you shouldn't enjoy it. If you enjoy the Xbox, that's awesome. I do think, again, that Game Pass is a tremendous value add. But B, don't you think it's a little eyebrow raising that at this point in the life cycle of the series consoles that we're seeing sales down year over year?
I mean, it's not really surprising because you guys were saying, Microsoft is really trying to push you to every device that they can. So whether that's PC or if you have a Steam Deck or these cloud functioning devices or your phone, iPad, whatever, what I mean, they're making it to TVs, that they're allowing you to access their content without needing a console. So I mean that dip in console sales, I mean that could come from lack of interest in the console due to the games, but that we also have to factor in the fact that, they're not pushing you to the console. They're pushing you to any device where Game Pass is available.
But then even with that,
and we can see that with the growth in Game Pass members that are on PC, because there's more PC Game Pass members than there are on the console.
That's a great point, B. They actually more Game Pass subscribers on PC than console. That's a great point.
But I think most of that is shifting around of the percentage distribution of a fixed pie, right? A fixed size pie, right? So if Piscatella is saying that it's stagnated, which I concur with based on what we've seen from Game Pass numbers or not heard about Game Pass numbers, what that tells me is that there's been a pickup in PC people who sign up for PC Game Pass, but those dwindling numbers of Xbox unit sales hasn't resulted in them growing anymore on console. I mean, I think where the doom and gloom and the convergence of the event horizon starts to hit is, if yes, you're pushing Game Pass to all those devices, but you're still not really growing subscriptions, and that's really kind of stagnating. Because remember, the thing that people never talk about, and that we have to bring into the conversation because even paid so-called professional journalists don't bring it up, is churn, right? So if you're onboarding more people, but there's a bunch of people offboarding, right, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter a lot. So if they're pushing out to those other devices, and here's where we get back to the move the needle thing, but there's not the content there, going back to BRAP's thing that content is king, then that's going to just give you a big churn number, because people are going to sit there, get dissatisfied with the content that they're getting, and they're going to offboard. The move the needle thing, Brad, that you brought up, and I'm just going to read this. This is better when I read it than when I try and paraphrase it. So I said, by move the needle, many of us often mean a game that is big enough and meaty enough to feel like it is a thing that seldom comes by our way, and therefore engenders a desire to play that game and consider it something outside of the norm. We expect all platforms to have AA content and also RANs that we could play anywhere else, but move the needle refers to the things that can only be played on that platform or attracted us to that platform in the first place. Some of us have to make choices with time and our money, and we want to see the things that would make us choose to spend the time on that platform. So those things can't just be average. Not everyone is interested in day one-ing a game. I don't have the time. Others use reviews and zeitgeist to measure whether they should take the plunge. An Xbox fan site started the dialogue on Starfield review scores, right? Because this person brought up, why are people talking about review scores for Starfield? I'm like, because your boys at Xbox Era brought it up. I said, some gamers care about performance. 60 frames per second for some people is representative of the value they're getting for the money. Because again, this person was trying to downplay the importance of 60 frames per second. The Redfall 30 frames per second is not a big deal, yada, yada, yada. And what I just expressed to them is, yeah, your points are valid, right? There are reasons there are people who are not going to be wrapped around the axle about 60 frames per second, who aren't going to be wrapped around the axle about whether it's an 80 or 90 game. I think a lot of people visit causality on this. They say, well, the games only matter to the person if they're a 90 or above. Well, no, it's that the person can't tell that it's a good game or a game worth their time unless there's some indication from the media and some indication from Steam user review scores, which are the only user review scores that I think are at all reliable, right? Unless there's some indication other than them ponying up $60 or $70 of their own money to go do a science experiment to figure out if a game is worth their time, right? I spend a ton of money on games and gaming, but I don't have $60, $70 to go out here and blow on something that I don't have at least some guarantee that it's going to be worth my time. So, again, we come back to, there's a large part of the market that needs to see something that moves the needle, and just having the kind of, AA content there all the time, it isn't that. I think you have to have that, and you have to have it in abundance to get people in the subscription service. But the thing that you need to do to keep them is you need to get that AA stuff in there, that AAA stuff in there, that moves the needle.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, Hap. And that was my overall point about, having games that move the needle, which we'll talk about here with the Xbox Showcase. Boycott Activision, I don't. What do you mean? Weren't you downplaying 60 FPS? Are you saying I was doing that? I mean, I got to be honest, you Boycott Activision. That's kind of a dumb comment because of the hardware specs of the Nintendo Switch. We talked about that on the show. Yeah, I don't know, man. Would I like the game to be 60 FPS? Absolutely. But I don't have any expectation of it being 60 FPS because it's on mobile hardware. That's ancient hardware. And the game and some of its parts, because you judge a game by some of its parts, the game actually was pretty, yeah, you might want to rewind then. Anyhow. Yeah, no, so that leads me up to this conversation around the Xbox Showcase. And because I do think, and this is kind of what you talked about, the churn thing too, Game Logic, made me think about, I think, why this deal with Activision is so important for Microsoft to acquire them and have, Call of Duty, in Game Pass day and date, and, because that could potentially move the needle for more subscriptions, things like that. But the Xbox Game Showcase is this Sunday, and look, I've voiced my frustration with the way Xbox has performed this far for me, with how they marketed the Xbox Series X, and I won't go into detail about that because we've talked about it. I've talked about it quite a bit on the show, but I think this has got to be a show for them. I think that where they have games that really start moving the needle, because look, their first party exclusive on the Series console, Redfall, just didn't hit the mark. We know about the issues with Halo Infinite. I think there's a lot of pressure on Starfield to be that big AAA game and release well and do well, considering the release of Redfall. And but I also think that this show is going to probably maybe set the tone for Microsoft for the next couple of years if they don't, I think, show something that really moves the needle. They show content in games that make people want to go out and buy an Xbox Series if they don't already have an Xbox Series console, if they don't already have one, or maybe go out and subscribe to Game Pass. So I do think they need to show games that really move the needle for the platform, that get people excited for the platform. Get people like me who I sold my Series X. I have no plans of re-upping my Game Pass subscription. I'm planning on letting it run out. I have a couple months left in my Game Pass subscription. After Starfield, if there's nothing else, I'm just going to let it lapse, and I'll just, maybe I'll engage in Game Pass on a case by case basis if there's some titles in there that I want. But other than that, I may just end up buying their first party stuff retail because the ROI for me in Game Pass just hasn't been there. So for me, that's what I want to see them address. I want to see them really show us some games, and I think Hellblade 2 would be one of them because it's been a couple of years since we've seen Hellblade 2. Avowed would be another one. Game Logic, I know you probably want to see Forza Motorsport, which I think will probably be there.
I don't want to see anything at the showcase.
We'll get to that in a second, though. But and I think that's fair. I think B Money probably shares the same sentiment with you. But I want to see things, and I want to see things too that are close in that release window. It's been some years now, and I don't want to hear any more about COVID and how COVID hurt developers because look, your competitors have been able to release first party content at a high quality and a little bit more consistent level than you have, and you're also Microsoft. You own GitHub. You have tools. If anyone should be able to figure out COVID, it's Microsoft. And Phil Spencer's already come out and said, "Look, COVID's not an excuse." So I think I do think this showcase is a big one. I think the showcase is probably the most important showcase in some years because, look, the series consoles haven't performed well. We talked about the stagnant numbers of Game Pass. The Xbox now, the series consoles are, according to Microsoft, their own words in Europe, are being outsold 4-1. It's at that 2-1 ratio here in North America as it was last generation. And look, they need to start delivering those games that really move the needle. And I talk about some of they've done it in the past. Again, my benchmark for Microsoft's always been the previous console generations where they really release some first party content, exclusive content that really move the needle for their platforms, more specifically the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. And I would even argue, we talked about this show, I think the Xbox One generation probably had some better first-party titles than the Series generation has so far. So again, I think this is an important show for them. I think they need to really, really wow gamers, create a positive buzz around the show and around the games that they're going to present on Sunday. And then I want to welcome Slomodius, Mr. Slomo Backslap. What's up, Slomo?
What is up? What is up? How's it going, fellas?
Your timing is perfect, sir.
Is it?
Yeah, we it's by the way, Slomo, I bought the Diablo Ultimate Edition, so
why would you do that?
Man,
okay, it's fine.
I got to support my devs, man.
I mean, you bought the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the standard edition is supporting the devs. I mean, they're not getting anything extra from you getting the Ultimate Edition.
They work for Bobby Kotick. So
the executives and the board at Activision thanks you for your additional money.
That means Bobby Kotick got my money. I should have never bought it though.
Oh yeah, yep. He's definitely going to use that to threaten another assistant.
Oh, okay. So
he's gonna by way of paying someone to off them.
Hey,
so now BRAP is exposed. He really bought the Ultimate Edition because he's actually against the merger.
Oh. Oh man! Hey, Slomo. By the way, I'm gonna be sending you some through Grubhub. I'm gonna send you some KFC, so you too can get some Diablo unlocks through KFC. I don't know how KFC landed that marketing.
I'll use it as a science experiment. I'm just gonna leave the chicken in my driveway and see if animals grab it or not.
They probably
mashed potatoes, man.
What you say, B?
Don't eat there. The chicken and the mashed potatoes, man. They use those powdered mashed potatoes.
Oh no, man!
Not the box grits.
Oh, yes, sir.
I call it box grits. It reminds me of that box mashed potato reminds me of grits.
Wait, Brett, with the Ultimate Edition, did you get any platinum?
I don't know. I don't think so. I have to go back and look, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I think you get I don't know.
I gotta go back and look.
You get early, even though it's at this point. Did you just buy the Ultimate Edition, or did you get it on the first?
No, I just bought it.
Okay, so you missed out on the whole played early part. That's the only benefit that I saw to it. Even I know there's more there. I just the only thing that I recognized. I don't know what else you get. Maybe some cosmetics or something.
Yeah, you get some cosmetics and stuff. We talked about it earlier on the show.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I guess.
Haters. All right, look. Let's so I want to go to B. I want to go to B Money first on the showcase. That was my spiel about the showcase. I have some more to say, and I'll share that later on. But B, how important do you think the show is for Microsoft?
I mean, I think it's very important for them and their fan base. Like I mentioned last week, there's so many games that they have announced that we haven't seen in quite a while. And they've bought more studios that we haven't seen any games from at all since acquisition. So they should be ready to show something. And they've kind of stumbled out of the gate since the release of the series consoles. They went in basically an entire year without any major AAA games releasing on a console at all. So I think it's very important. They got to come out here swinging. They've been a little competitive the last couple of weeks with the disappointing PlayStation show, kind of taking some jabs, and that's the type of stuff I like to see, from Xbox and Microsoft. So hopefully, they actually live up to the hype. They kind of been teasing Fable and things like that. So maybe, but like I said, I'm not really going into this with any excitement. You know what I mean? Like, there's a few things that I want to see. Hellblade, which I was an advocate of that game prior to anybody really talking about it. When the original game released. I want to see what Obsidian's doing. I think that's probably one of the more talented teams under that umbrella.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, Double Fine has something cooking up too. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, it's not a lot of stuff that I'm super excited for. I would have been excited for that Rare game Everwild, but it seems that there may be more of a Viva Pinata instead of like an action-oriented game. So we'll have to see with that. But there's not too much for me to get hyped up about, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to your point about the marketing kind of taking jabs, that actually worries me a little bit, because my perspective is just keep your head down. Deliver games, then take jabs. Take jabs after you have a good show. Don't take jabs and then, not deliver. Because I feel like they've done that in the past, and I feel like that kind of speaks to. I feel like kind of speaks to what Phil was apologizing for. About how in the XCast interview you had, where he was kind of where he apologized for how the marketing's kind of been off, but. So it's interesting, B. So you're not really excited for Summer Games Fest, and you're also not really too excited about the Xbox Showcase. So, but let me go to Game Logic here. Logic, do you think that this show is a big one for Microsoft as well? What are your thoughts?
The show itself, no, because I don't think that there's anything that they can do to dig themselves out of a hole, and anything that they do. In my personal opinion, and I reserve the right to walk this back, because what I'm going to say is going to be pretty acidic. Anyone who watches the Xbox Showcase and allows themselves to be impressed by any type of pomp and circumstance is just really a very gullible consumer, I would think. Anybody who allows them to parade a bunch of stuff on stage and a bunch of trailers and accept that as gospel is really a person who I would kind of question their ability to manage their own money. I think the only thing that Microsoft can do that would make any difference to me, and I started this off as a joke, but kind of listening to you guys and sitting here thinking about it, it's now actually become a more solidified thing that has to happen. The only thing that they could do at the show, which is why I say the show isn't big for them, because the show itself doesn't do anything. I think the only thing they can do, as I've said, is they need to deliver games, and therefore the only thing that they can do at the instance of time of the show is to shadow drop products. That's the only thing that would make any difference in the world to me at all.
So you think shadow dropping? And also release dates, right? Like firm release dates too, right?
Well, firm release dates wouldn't do anything for me, because why in the world would I consider those release dates
why would
credible?
you believe them?
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
I've already said the Starfield release date in the first week of September is complete bullshit.
You still think that Starfield's going to be delayed?
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
see that. I don't think that's going to happen.
It will land in holiday 2023, but I don't think it's going to make that September release date.
But Hamp, they have said this is the release date.
Yeah, they
said
also
that before.
Yeah, they said that last year,
but
and they said it last year as this big emotional thing with the what was it 11/11/22, right? Playing on like the all their past history and their nostalgic fans and all that. They said the same thing last year. I mean, so them moving it off that September date for the faithful, like, doesn't mean anything. And to be quite honest, on top of this, isn't just the Xbox staff. This is the Bethesda staff, which just over time, since they've been acquired by Microsoft, I have even less faith in them than I did before. Because it seems to me like Pete Hines and Todd Howard are incapable of multitasking. It seems like they can focus on like one thing at a time.
Wow. And there's that I think somebody Mooch brought this up on Crossfire Friday. There was that insider or whatever who it said that Redfall was in trouble, and there's a couple other games, and it's kind of hit on some of the quote unquote insider information that this person revealed, and Starfield was one of those games that he said was having a lot of development issues. They may not really meet that release window. But I just, again, I go back to, if they've come out, and I understand what you and B are saying, but God, that would be just a bad PR nightmare for the Microsoft. Like the optics of that would be like, oh shit, here we go again. Like I don't think they can afford to do that. I think this game releases, whether it's ready to release or not. I think this game's coming out September. I don't think Microsoft wants that. Oh, those optics, that narrative going around. But like, oh, here we go again. Another game they promise doesn't come out.
I mean, what they have right now, and some situations at work have, I've been kind of talking about these exact type of tactics. Once the smoke screen of bigger troubles are present, you can effectively utilize them to hide behind, right? And now that they've had the sacrificial lamb of Redfall come out like a lame duck, right? I don't personally think that saying, hey, we're going to take an extra month, 2 months of polish, right, for Starfield to make the best thing. They're doing it right now with Forza Motorsport. Right?
Yeah.
Spending the extra time. So therefore, I literally feel no one is complaining about Forza Motorsport but me. And
I'm complaining about it too. I'm like, where is it at? That's the game that I want.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you said 12 months, and we heard about it in January, and there's no information about it since then.
Yeah, and I mean so it's B Money and me, two people, right? And I mean, and this is and what we'll get back from Xbox fans is, oh, you guys were complaining about one delay. For frack's sake, this has been going on since 2020. When was the first Forza Motorsport tease shown? So again, I mean, so for people who are in that pool, who are just, I think I wrote about this on Twitter the other day too, or today, people who are fine staying in an abusive relationship and have Stockholm syndrome, like they can do no wrong at this showcase, right? Like for getting themselves out of it and impressing those people, like B said, like they can say whatever they want to say at the showcase. It's that. I mean, that just makes them a pathological liar. Like I don't know why I would pay any more attention to that, right, than I did last year or January, right, or in Phil's interview. I mean, they've got to start delivering games, and so the only thing they could do at the showcase would be to do that.
Well, that's
I mean, what they've delivered so far on a Shadow Drop is Hi-Fi Rush, and that to me doesn't move my needle.
Yeah, and that was it. Look, that not to take anything away from Hi-Fi Rush, great game, but doesn't move the needle for me either. I don't think it really moves the needle for the platform either. But I'm reading some of the comments in the live chat here. People are talking about Perfect Dark, Fable, State of Decay 3, Avowed, Contraband, Indiana Jones, Everwild. Hellblade 2. I'd like to see some gameplay footage on like Hellblade 2. You know,
Well,
Fable.
all of those games because they've been
yeah.
announced for years now.
Yeah, well, actually, all those games. You know, Contraband, we just got like a teaser trailer. We don't know what that is. I want to see that. I don't think we're going to see Everwild. We know that game got like rebooted or something. I think when they show the trailer, I think the reporting was Rare didn't really know exactly what that game was.
They showed the game twice. They showed. This is what I don't understand. They showed us the game twice. Didn't know what the game was. How does that happen?
I don't know.
And Captain Crunch, you mentioned, and again, I'm not picking on you. I'm just pointing this out as a concern that I have, right? You mentioned, well, most of the industry is delayed, and my concern with that is setting a standard based on what everyone else is doing, which, first of all, I just think is a bad approach to life in general. I think a lot of people take it, but I think that also is the reason why we have some things the way that they are. But what I guess my perspective on that is, and the difference is again, and I think we've said this many times before. Microsoft asked us to make a $500 investment at the beginning of the generation, right? With the exchange, with the promise that for that exchange, there would be delivery of games. Right now, everybody had different expectations of what that is, and I totally accept that. What I keep trying to convey to people is there are parts of the market where that expectation has not been met, and the statement to me, if it were coming to me from Microsoft, or as it comes to me from other Xbox from Xbox fans, is, well, everything else is delayed. I'm like, and I'm going to say the same thing that I say to my kids, like. I don't care what little Tommy and Susie did at school. That's not an excuse for you getting bad grades. Right? I don't really care. I gave you $500, right? I have an expectation. That expectation hasn't been met. And quite frankly, right, for non-platform owners, and this is another problem where I have a statistical objective problem with that hypothesis, EA and Ubisoft and 2K are not responsible for filling the coffers of content for the Xbox, right? That is a Microsoft responsibility. That is an Xbox responsibility. So again, I don't care about the fact that third-party publishers, and please don't try to tell me that it is an endemic software problem, because I am a software engineer. I lead software programs. I am responsible for millions of dollars of P&L. And I cannot go to my customers and say, oh, well, every other software development shop, is having problems delivering. Companies have other problems. I'm responsible for my company's performance in a customer-supplier relationship. The supplier is responsible for meeting the customer's expectations. It's not, in my mind, acceptable to set the bar. Now, you can feel that that's unacceptable, but again, you have nothing to do with my relationship with a supplier that I've given $500 to. That's a me relationship. So, sorry, well, I've got the mic back. Rodimus asked the question. The question should have been for Game Logic, is he going to watch the Xbox showcase? I am going to watch the Xbox showcase as a hobbyist journalist, because my podcast is doing their show right after the showcase. But as a consumer, I wouldn't watch the showcase. I would just read about the highlights on, I don't know, GameIndustry.biz or Games Radar or something like that.
Yeah. No. So Slimmo, what are your thoughts, man, on this showcase? Do you think this is kind of a make or break situation for Xbox, just given the more recent woes? And
I don't think it's make or break, nor do I kind of feel like it's going to be a major turnaround thing. I always kind of look at these things with the platform as like, hold on, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I always kind of look
as
at
you play
things,
Diablo 4, but go ahead, man.
I kind of always,
that laugh is so evil, man. You're like, yeah, I am.
I always look at these things kind of like, when you let's say you have like almost like I forgot what it's called, but like you'd ever see like in like the halls of justice or whatever, there's like a woman holding like that little balancing thing, and it's like what do they call it, like the weight of justice or some crap like that. But like I always kind of look at like people make complaints and they say, well, how come PlayStation, Nintendo get passes? How come when they have a light year, it's not as bad as Xbox having a light year, where they have a little bit more on the other side of that balance? Like they get a little bit more leeway because they have actually delivered on the key thing that you need to deliver on, which is games, in a major way for the community that they cultivated. Xbox has had some good games that have released over the past couple years, but they haven't been the key games. You know, they haven't been the games that like the big AAA games. They've been like the little things like Grounded, Pentiment, like games that's like passion project stuff that like, all right, that's cool. You that scored well and it cultivated a nice community. People liked it. Pentiment had a good story. Great. But like delivering on a Pentiment is different than delivering on a Avowed for Obsidian. So I say all that to say that like they need to have a multitude of great shows in order to kind of reverse the trajectory of where they are, where it's not just the pendulum doesn't swing in the opposite direction just because of one good show. It needs to be a good show followed up by gameplay, by games that people want to play and are good. And then not just one game that's good and then follow up that game with a Redfall, but having the next game after that be good. Having the next game after that be amazing. You know, having one of those must-have, I gotta get an Xbox to play this game kind of games. And so when it comes to this show, like I'm looking forward to seeing a few games, like 3 games in particular, and then whatever else that happens, cool, whatever, right? But I don't think that this is make or break. If the show sucks, well, I mean, look, it's not going to change what's been going on with Xbox already. It's not going to change. Well, are they going to sell even less consoles?
I mean, that's a great
sold
point,
out
Samo.
for the one. You know, it's like it's not going to really change anything.
It's a great point.
They're already not doing great on the sales aspect of things. But what can if it's a good show, then there'll be people like, all right, well, I'm looking forward to Starfield. Let's see, but that's not going to absolutely make people buy an Xbox. It's definitely, as Phil said, not going to make people sell their PlayStation. But what can happen is if Starfield is the 11 out of 10 that Phil had in his example, then people will absolutely buy an Xbox to play that. That's what it's always about. It's about, do you have games that people have to play? And the more you deliver on those kind of games, the more people will come to your platform. I mean, people forget Wii U sold 13 million consoles, and then the Switch sold 140 now, or 130 million right now. Like, you can turn things around, but what they have yet to do is deliver on a must-have game. If you look at the entirety of Phil Spencer's regime, if you want to call it, where he's been running things for Xbox, they have yet to deliver on I have to play this must-have game. You look at it from 2014 to now. There's been some good games. There's been a significant number of bad games, but there have never been a God of War 2018, a Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, or Breath of the Wild, not even a Spider-Man 2018. None of those system seller games have been there, and so that's what they have to deliver on. I don't care. The show could look amazing, but we've seen games look amazing, and then the game comes out and it's not what it looked like. So it's not really about what it looks like. It's about what does it play like. And nothing's going to change in regards to your question. Nothing's going to change for them until they deliver a game that actually does that.
Yeah, I mean that's a great. That's my point. I can't. I don't know what I see what Game Logic's saying. I see what you're saying. Your discussion with Erodimus. I can't see what Erodimus is saying for some reason, but no, you're right. You're right there, Game Logic. The market speaks for itself. The market has spoken. I mean, you can't sidestep that. You can't. You can't say that the market hasn't spoken. I mean, just you have those numbers there. His numbers don't lie. I mean, like Slomo said, about this being it's interesting, Slomo. You said something about this isn't necessarily make or break because of how they're performing. They're already in third place in terms of console sales. We know that the Game Pass subscriptions have stagnated, according to Matt Piscatella. According to Microsoft, they're being outsold 4-1 by Sony in Europe. So, yeah, I mean, I guess this maybe is maybe it can't get any worse. But I want to go to Worry Word here. What's up, Worry? Thank you for joining us, by the way. I appreciate it. What are your thoughts on the showcase, Worry? And I do, once Worry answers that question, I do want to go back to the panel here and talk about specific games that maybe everyone's looking forward to seeing. But Worry, what are your thoughts about the showcase?
I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I've watched every Xbox show that there's ever been, and they've gotten progressively predictable in terms of being either really bad or building up expectation and then having it be like, what was that? What happened? And I'm starting to get nervous. I got nervous after the Aaron Greenberg tweet about there's no CGI, but there is in-game cutscenes, then there's in-engine gameplay, then there's in-engine / in-game / cutscenes, and we're going to label them, and you're not going to be confused. But in-game anything is in gameplay. So if they're already doing that, if they're already playing that word salad with me, I wonder how many games that we've heard about for a while now still have nothing real to show. And I hope that that's not true. I mean, obviously Starfield, we're going to see more gameplay because we've already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think at this point, there should be something of Fable. There should be something of what Rare's working on. I mean, even though they rebooted it, I mean, what about Perfect Dark? What about Avowed? What about anything that all of these studios that they already own? It can't be that there's nothing available to show me that is actually what I'm going to look at while I play the video game. We go from Phil Spencer saying you shouldn't be happy about anything until you have a controller in your hand and you're playing the game, to Aaron Greenberg, it's going to be sort of in-engine / cinematic / in-engine / this. I just want to see gameplay. And I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I've heard that the show is supposed to be really, really good in terms of, what we expect from the past with Xbox, and sort of be shocking in terms of, that's not what we expect and something really good. But then I hear that it's just, the same old indie 30-minute indie sizzle reel, and then a whole lot of Starfield, and then a in-engine / Hellblade 2 demo again. So I don't know what to think at this point. I'm just tired of trying to build myself up to get excited. And I know that's a me problem, but I think after 21 years, at least one new first-party IP that's AAA complete, polished, and finished isn't too much to ask for at a showcase. In terms of Xbox, outselling PlayStation 5, that's never going to happen. But the idea that they just can't get better, or they can't gain any mind share, even ending this generation, going into another one, if they decide to do that. And I'm not really sure that they're going to do that, even though we hear, yes, there's another one in the works. But, I heard that after the Sega Saturn and the Sega Dreamcast, and then all of a sudden, no, we're not doing anything anymore. So that can happen. I don't know. What do you guys think? Are you excited? Do you think they're going to show something that is shocking, and we're going to get gameplay, and we're going to see polished first-party titles? I hope.
I mean,
but I'm just not sure that that's going to happen, because I haven't seen it happen in the past a lot. In terms of PlayStation getting a pass, Nintendo getting a pass, well, look, they've won. It's like everybody hates Tom Brady, right? But he's won how many Super Bowls? Of course, he's going to get a pass because he's produced. So if you're a producer, it's like that in the real world. If you're a producer, you go to work. There's that guy or girl who just produces, and they just get treated better. It's just the way it works.
They get the benefit of the doubt. Like no one, no one like Aaron Judge, right? Like if Aaron Judge,
it's just the way it works.
3 bad weeks at the plate, people aren't like, oh, Aaron Judge is trash, or why does Aaron Judge get the benefit? He's got a track record of performing at a high level. And that's what Nintendo and Sony do. And look, and I see, a Game Logic mentioning that. Look, we have everything we were saying, by the way, on this panel, can be backed by tangible numbers, like actual data points. We talk about, if you don't believe me, just look at the sales numbers. Look at the year over year console sales being down. Look at what Piscatello just tweeted. I mean, those are data. You can't argue those points. Those are a result of performance, and the market is reacting to how Xbox is performing and the quality that they're putting out. That's not to say that you can't enjoy your Xbox. If you enjoy your Xbox, and I said it earlier in the show, good for you. There's nothing wrong with that. But let's not pretend that their performance isn't being reflected, or isn't being shown, or the market isn't speaking to how they're performing as a platform. I mean, the market's reacted to their performance as a platform. So let's not skate by those things or pretend those things don't exist. I mean, again, if you enjoy the platform, you like the console, that's great. But let's not try to pretend that their performance isn't being impacted based on what we're seeing, or based on how the market's reacting to the Xbox platform when you compare it to Nintendo and PlayStation. But I want to go back to the panel here, and I want to talk about some of the games that we want to see from first party. I rattled off a couple that I want to see. Slum, I want to go to you because I know you're a big Obsidian fan. I'm assuming Avowed's probably one of the games you want to see there. And are there any other games you want to see from studios? Yeah.
I mean, I'm interested in Avowed. I know it's based off of the Pillars of Eternity franchise, which
yes, it is
highly regarded by Obsidian. Although I've not played those games. I own them, but I haven't played them yet. So I'm not as really like when I think about Obsidian and what I'm looking forward with them. I'm more looking forward to Outer Worlds 2, which I don't anticipate will be there because it's a little too soon for that. But I mean, I think about. I mean, it's probably would be fine because I have confidence in that studio that they don't need too much hand holding. I've said this before about when it comes to Xbox first party is that the studios that are self-sufficient, that are veteran studios that have done a lot of great work already and don't really need to be told or guided or have a publisher come in and fix certain issues and things like that. Like, that's Ninja Theory, that's Obsidian, that's Double Fine. They're going to be okay, right? So I have no problem with that. I'm actually more interested in Fable. I love Fable 2. Fable 2 is 360 era. I played the hell out of that game. So I'm really excited for that, and I want to see what Playground could do with that. Like, they're a high quality studio. This is a bit out of their wheelhouse, and you anticipate there will be growing pains trying to do something that you've never done before. It's just, it's not an impossible task. We've seen Guerrilla Games do it. We've seen Respawn Entertainment do it. So it's possible for them to do it, and I think it's mostly really only possible with studios that are of a certain degree of quality. And I think that, like, this would be really like the moment for Playground to kind of prove if they are that studio or not. So it's kind of like, I'm excited because it's Fable, and I'm also kind of excited as a content creator to have something to talk about, whether it's like epic or not, Hellblade, I liked Hellblade 1. I didn't love it. So I'm interested in Hellblade, and I'm kind of a little, like, everyone keeps talking about that coming out this year, and Phil Spencer mentioned it, and then they had it in a reel for 2023, and I'm like, I'm more of I have confidence that Ninja Theory can really take the next step with Hellblade. I do not want them being kind of forced to throw it out there when it's not ready. You know, if it's not ready, put that thing out in 2024. I mean, just keep it a buck. We've seen them release incomplete games already. I mean, Redfall is a very recent example of that. But outside of Redfall, they released Sea of Thieves with no content. They released State of Decay 2 before it was ready. It was a complete buggy mess. They released Halo Infinite with incomplete, with campaign content not there, with multiplayer content bare bones. Like, they have a habit of releasing games that aren't ready. And frankly, when I see the apologies about that, it's like it's only so many times that you actually accept that you're going to do something about it. And isn't like basically who you are. It's who you are, bro. This is what you do. You release unfinished games just so that you could say that we released a game at this certain time period and stuff like that. And so I'm hoping, because Phil Spencer did mention during the kind of funny interview that they're close to getting to the point where they can do their one piece of content per quarter or whatever they're attempting to do. I'm still of the mind that, like, that's a great goal to have, and that's a great goal to reach for. What I don't want to see is them pushing studios to release games when they're not ready, just so they can say that they kept up to that cadence or they kept up to that promise. Sorry, like, I don't think that's worth it. You know, if you could only have 3 games come out, that year, you missed 1 game in the quarter because it wasn't ready, then so be it. What's more important is that the game comes out feature complete, polished, not buggy, and it's the actual vision of the studio that developed the game, and not, well, I mean, we tried. Like, no, it's not good enough. So
why would you expect that, though? I mean, after Arcane and the debacle of Redfall and the fact that they didn't even recognize that half of the team didn't even want to work on that game, then they purchased them, and instead of stopping it, they let it continue.
yeah.
Then they don't even beta test the game, or even conceivably go there and test it themselves and just release it. How do we go from that to, I hope they release really good games at this showcase? I just don't see how we make that leap. That's why I'm so cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I'm not saying that, like, they will or won't. I'm just like, but I'm also not gonna, like, just say, well, you're never ever gonna learn either. So hopefully they eventually figure this out, and they eventually figure out that doing this is the reason why you are where you are. There's a level of quality that you do not have, and the reason why you don't have that level of quality that's expected of you, and that is seen in the other platforms that is your competition, is that they don't do the things that you do. And if it does happen with their competition, it is actually rare. Like, people were shocked that The Last of Us Part 1 on PC came out in the state that it came out, because that's not indicative of what people have seen from Naughty Dog in the past. So that was a shocker. People didn't expect that. People did expect the game to be ready and not incomplete, where textures for certain presets aren't even like real textures. Like, it looks like something from a 360 era and not what should be medium settings. Like, that's an incomplete port. And that's something that no one expected from them. But if Microsoft did something like that, people would be like, well, yeah, because you've done that before. And so when it comes to Hellblade, I think the one thing that I can kind of like, where you kind of wonder if it would be different with them, is that, okay, Ninja Theory is a high quality studio. So was Arcane Austin, right? But I would say Ninja Theory has, and maybe this is my personal opinion, a better studio than Arcane Austin. So maybe that like they have the autonomy to say I'm not releasing it because it's not ready. But I mean, we'll have to see. You know, that's again. This goes back to. I mean, you could be excited to see something, whether you're excited to see a train wreck or you're excited to see like an awesome accomplishment. But like I think like these kind of discussions and questions can kind of kind of keep people really engaged in what's going to happen with the showcase this Sunday.
Yeah, so I want to open this up again to the panel here. Please, feel free to chime in, anyone on the panel. But what are the games that everyone's looking forward to? That I know Slomo rattled off a couple, but what are some of the games from Microsoft's first party that you want to see in the showcase?
So I mean, I would like to see. This is the only, and this is a me thing, but I would love to see one single player, story driven, character driven, a brand new character that sort of has enough story and enough behind it to become a franchise. I want one AAA big single player story driven game out of Microsoft. I want their next Master Chief. I want their next Marcus Phoenix. I want their next, I don't know, Forza car. I want something that speaks to that meat when it comes to playing video games, not the potato, not, the side dish. I want the meat. I want the single player character driven franchise that can go from one generation to the next. I want them to create their Aloy. I want them to create their Jin Sakai. And, I think after 21 years, it's time for them to start building those kind of franchises that skew Xbox.
Yeah, that's a great point. Where they did in the past create those kinds of games, those characters, those.
Well, they didn't do that themselves. They purchased. Well, they purchased Epic for years. They purchased.
Someone else made it, and they was
like, they still had those games.
That's
though.
awesome.
Yeah, but I'm talking underneath of like right now under Microsoft, these new studios built from the ground up after being purchased by Microsoft, after a few years of working under Microsoft. I want to see that kind of quality.
Yeah, I'll go back to. I do think for this show they got to start talking about or showing some games that are going to be releasing soon. Or showing gameplays, footage of games that should be releasing soon.
I think, but as far as single player games go, I don't know. Here's the thing: is that like the template that Worry Wart just mentioned? I think Compulsion is game from what has been leaked is that kind of game. The problem is that Compulsion has never made a good game before. So
right, and they've never really made. Compulsion is the same kind of studio like Arcane. We swear it's single player. You can play it by yourself, but it's really built for 4 people. That was the same thing with We Happy Few. It was just not a great game, and it really wasn't built around, giving somebody a great experience in terms of just a solo story. It was just half complete even at launch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Logic or Be Money, what games are you guys looking forward to the showcase? Or that you want to see?
I want to see Blade 2 for sure. I want to see Forza Motorsport.
B, I got a question for you about Hellblade.
Yeah.
What did you think about Hellblade 1's combat?
I mean, it was very basic combat. But for me, I wasn't there for the combat. Like I knew that they were crafting something that was going to be an amazing experience. And they touched on something that we don't really see in gaming. You know what I mean? Like mental health aspect.
The mental health, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, that was, I mean, once you put the headphones on and kind of get immersed in that, it was a pretty good experience. So I hope that they really doubled down on that. From what they kind of shown us, it's been a lot of cinematic stuff. And if you played the original game, like even though they said that was gameplay, that wasn't gameplay. That was
very, very scripted. Yeah.
So you kind of know that what they showed us isn't gameplay. So I really want to see what the gameplay is like, and if they have, kind of changed up the combat, because they've worked on other games that have better combat than
Yeah, that's what they're
this new
known
game.
for. You know, they're
Right,
known
right.
for make games that have good combat. So it's just, I mean,
Enslaved
I'm
Odyssey
not
to
saying.
Enslaved Odyssey to the West was a really good game from the Xbox 360 PS3 generation by Ninja Theory.
It was, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm,
I don't think that like it's beyond them to have like great combat or anything like that. Like, absolutely not. They've definitely uh hit on that before. I just kind of wonder if like what's the focus
right. So
for
I want to
this
know like
game.
how dense the world is going to be, and because like even the first game, like there was combat, but there wasn't any combat encounters. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you had to, kind of walk into a space, and there's like, oh, well, there's a combat encounter here, and you got
Yeah.
to fight a boss and whatever. And then it was more, exploring and kind of wandering the world. So I want to know, what they're doing as far as, fleshing out the world. It looks like you have like some tribes or something, kind of going along with you. So, want to see them kind of dive into the aspect and explain, what we're actually getting into with this game. So I really want to see that Forza Motorsport, and I mean those are probably like the two that I really want to see. I'm interested to see what they talk about in regards to Starfield. But like kind of like Warrior said, I want to see some new IP. You know what I mean? Like we kind of got excited with the whole initiative, kind of coming together, and then we find out they're working on Perfect Dark. Um, I kind of felt like they should have went with a new IP, and I know it's probably kind of hard to do with from the ground up with all this talent coming in to be like this melting pot, but I prefer them to have that big budget new IPs, a new character to fall in love with, a new story to follow, and I think that's one of the things that they are lacking. You know what I mean? Even with the acquisitions that they made, it's like they had to follow up on games that were already released. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna get Outer Worlds 2. The original game was on all the consoles, so it's not like something that was built in house. We got Psychonauts 2. So they have these franchises that are pretty good, but it wasn't something that was built in house, and it wasn't something that was built from the ground up for Xbox. So I do really want to see that, and I'm wondering which studio is actually going to give that to us. You know what I mean? Because there are so many, and it seems like um, a lot of them are working on IP that we already know about. So hopefully they kind of have a wild card, that they're going to throw down and hit us with something that we don't expect.
Yeah. What about you, Game Logic?
I'm sorry. What was the question again?
No, just what specific games you really want to see from the Xbox showcase, and are you kind of on the in agreement with like what Warrior B Money said? They want to see like even like newer franchises, maybe new character, something new from that showcase.
I mean, no. I think my feeling on like. I mean, I heard what Worry said. I don't. And if I'm ascribing my interpretation of this incorrectly, I just feel like that sounded a lot like they need to make a Sony like game, and I don't think they need to do that. It's kind of like Phil said, they can make an Xbox game, but it needs to be a great game, and it needs to give me a reason to play it. But more. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, well, Sony doesn't hold the patent on single player character driven games. I mean, anybody can do that. It's not. I really push back against the idea that anybody that creates a character in a game and has a really well thought out narrative is somehow doing something or copying Sony. I mean, Nintendo does it, and they're not copying Sony with Zelda. or even games like Splatoon, or Monolith isn't copying Sony with things like Xenoblade Chronicles 3. So I don't think if Microsoft creates something like that, and necessarily it means that they're, or anybody that wants that is saying, please copy Sony.
You know, technically, Hellblade is that. You got a single player game,
Yeah.
narrative driven, very compelling character, very different than any other game. As B said, you're talking about like mental health, and their implementation of that really, like, really hit home for a lot of people. Very much got some people to understand maybe that was someone who deals specifically with that kind of mental issue could be dealing with, as well as the unnerving feeling of like having these voices, and then the way they implemented it, where like especially if you had like surround sound headphones on, you could literally hear them all around you. It's for some people, they had to play the game with the headphones off. They just really couldn't deal with it, and it's that uniqueness is something that you want. You want games that can do, similar to what Sony does. But and again, I agree with Worry that like PlayStation doesn't hold the patent for that kind of game, although they you could probably say they are the best in the industry at it right now. Or maybe Rockstar might say have something to say about that too. But you can make those kind of games and have them be compelling, and then be the kind of games that people say, yeah, that's an Xbox game. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying about like setting a tone and continuing to build upon that with the kind of games that you make. Like, it can't just be one game. It can't just be Hellblade that does that. You got to be able to like start creating a cadence and start consistently making games that do that, and kind of build that up so that people can expect that from Xbox. Because as of right now, that's not something that people expect from Xbox.
Yeah, I'd agree with both of you. It's less so that it's a Sony game, and I coupled it with other arguments that I've been having with the gaming community, and it's more about I understand that the market and maybe additionally as represented by the media, that is a type of game that they're looking for, and I think what I'm keying on is that's, for me personally, that's not a necessity. There are, I guess, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not a super overly emotional person. I don't have as much of an attachment sometimes to those story-driven games and narratives, which is why I always said, for the PlayStation type games, as far as them, like winning all the VGAs and the blah blah blah, and I was always like, okay, but I don't like, just like you're saying, I don't think that's a template for what I personally want, every year as a great game. They can make a great Forza Motorsport game. They can make a great Elite Dangerous game. They can make a great Chrome Hounds game like they did back in the 3. So there's lots of different things that they could do. I just need them to be big, meaty, full of content, high quality, delivered on time, yada 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 yada. And Nate is saying, so what exactly do you want? I think I just articulated it, Nate. I said what I'm saying is that I'm willing to entertain notions of other things that they deliver. It doesn't necessarily have to be a story-driven narrative centric game. But at the end of the day, like I said, I don't really care what they come on stage and talk about at the showcase in order for me to really change my feelings about Xbox and the platform and where they are right now. Like I said, they would have to deliver a game, that meets those parameters that I kind of talked about.
Yeah, no, and I agree with what you're saying. Worry about a new title. I'd like to see a new title.
Hey, BRAP, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you, sir. So, Innate, I love that you're looking for the aha gotcha moment. No, Innate, what I'm saying is that I am open and flexible, and I'm not fixated on a certain limited set of parameters for what they have to deliver. I'm saying I would accept lots of different things in terms of genre, design, and other elements of game characteristics, is what I'm saying. So you can try and paint me in a corner if you want to, but again, this is about how I personally feel about Xbox. So you could feel differently.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with what Worry and Slim are saying about, you know, like a newer title. I think I think you'd be agreed on that as well. For me, it's you know, where I kind of agree with you. Like I go back to, again, I know that, you know, some of the more story driven games that they release on the OG Xbox, the Xbox 360. Yes, they were done in some instances, through third party relationships, Ninja Gaiden being one of them. But no, they also and they obviously acquired Gears, but and you know, they acquired Bungie, and through that acquisition came Halo. But the point is that they've had those kind of games. They've had those games that have, you know, been very you know, that have provided great stories, great experiences, gamers. That's what I would like to see from them as well. Look, they have clearly put out some good smaller games, Hi-Fi Rush being the most recent example, but I want to see something that's going to move the needle for me. And I also want to see, like we talked about Hellblade 2, I think that's one of those games that could be maybe something that moves the needle for the platform. It's something different. We talked about the gameplay of Hellblade and how it used the audio to you know, mimic mental illness, and that was a unique gameplay thing that was put into that game. But I want to see others. I really want to see, you know, someone talked about Obsidian. I want to see Avowed, because it's in that Pillars of Eternity universe. But for me, the big thing that I want to see is really, out of all the Xbox first party games, is going to be Starfield. That's my most anticipated game of this year. I do have high hopes. Given their pedigree over at Bethesda, we'll see. I don't think that they'll delay the game. I think that would be a big misstep if they delay the game. I think that would just be another black eye to Microsoft if that happened. But
I think if it's not ready, delay it. That's always going to be my stance on it.
Yeah, I understand.
But I think if Playground does Fable right, I think Fable could definitely be the kind of game that, like I said, a lot of us are looking for, whether we recognize it now or not. I mean, Fable. Imagine a Fable with the way that world has been depicted in previous games of the past, but like with the Forza Tech engine done well, with potentially amazing like gameplay, with as an action RPG. I think that like that you got IP that's already has got some history to it. I think that is potentially something that could be the game to kind of be like, that's the must-have kind of game that other people are going to say, you know what, I'll go ahead and cop an Xbox and play this. I think that's really the game, because it's more identifiable, and I think it speaks to a lot more demographics than say a Starfield will, because a Starfield's really going to be another Bethesda joint. You know, it's Bethesda, it's still a Skyrim / Fallout in space, and you either are down for those kind of games or you're not down for those kind of games. But I think Fable is a lot more. It kind of speaks to a broader gaming demographic, and I think that might be it for them. Maybe, you know, it just all depends on if they can deliver.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. And look, I don't have. I'm going in this showcase with low expectations, and hopefully I walk away pleasantly surprised. But we'll see. We'll find out this Sunday. So, look, gentlemen. On that note, I'm going to wrap up the show because I do want to try to play some Diablo 4. I think Slow. Are you playing Diablo 4 right now? I thought I heard some sticks. I thought I heard something in the background there.
No, you didn't hear that.
Actually, I'm gonna head off to KFC first.
You definitely heard me playing Diablo.
Oh, dude, hey,
I'm just traveling around dungeon to dungeon, dude. Just killing me. My freaking necromancer build. My necromancer build is nasty. I'm decomposing anyone that gets close to me, and then I'm using their dead bodies to make my my minions stronger.
Oh my
and
god!
then if I feel like it, then I'm exploding the dead bodies that are near my enemies, just in case. It's so good, man.
That
This
is
game is so good.
that's insane, man. Hey, we got to run some games, Slimo. We got to run some
Hey,
games. I want to see
go,
your
man.
I want to see your deck. I'm just gonna sit back and let your necromancer do all the work, man.
Hey, man, come join me.
I will, man. I definitely will. And by the way, Diablo 4 is Blizzard's fastest selling game of all time. So
Yeah, I saw that. That's
congrats to Blizzard.
Considering their history and a lot of the successes they've had, that's a amazing accomplishment.
Oh no, absolutely, it really is. And and the gameplay loop is from what I've only played a little bit of it. I've enjoyed what I've played so far. I haven't played a lot, but not as long as you have, Slimo. But hey, I can't fault you doing the grind. I was actually Crossfire a couple weeks ago. I had my Switch out. I had my mic mute. I was playing Tears of the Kingdom. I was like grinding items. So I hear you, man. But
here we go. Rob is saying Necro is a cheat code. Look, it's only a cheat code if you know what you're doing, man. Yeah, look, I have changed my build up a few times. Where I was running was okay in the beginning, but I didn't quite like it. Now when I'm running now, I really enjoy it. So hey, look, man, look, don't hate because we out here doing major damage and your druid is just trying to keep up, bro.
Oh man, hey, don't hate on the druid, man. I'm a druid class myself.
Oh boy, never mind. I take that back.
No, the druid's actually not a bad class. I was actually reading some articles on the druid.
Yeah, I don't. I think they're all good actually.
They're actually pretty all. Yeah, I've read some articles, all pretty good. But yeah, I mean, no, it's I definitely want to. I want to see that because that actually sounds pretty cool, man. That your necro could do that. So.
Yeah, man, it's good, man. I'm really enjoying it. It's just which I expected to enjoy it, but I didn't expect to enjoy it this much.
Yeah, so. I want to address KT to Goat. Just be respectful in the chat, please. But yeah, no, we definitely, some I'm going to try to hop on more this weekend. I'll try to, I'll message you, try to connect. I know Game Logic has a game. We should try to get a group to hop on Diablo and get a group going. So, but I want to give a big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thank you everyone for hanging out with us this evening. Really appreciate it. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you haven't done so. Subscribe, hit the bell notifications so you're alerted when we go live. I want to give a big thank you to our special guest this evening, Worry. Hey, thank you for joining, man. I really appreciate it. I'm happy that you could pop in quickly here and talk video games with us.
That's what I try and do. I try and pop in quickly and then get out.
Oh wow.
when you're old, when you're old, you have to,
Yeah. Well,
it just works better.
Yeah. All right, Worry, sir. Yeah. If you want to be found, let everyone know where they can find you, man.
Twitter and YouTube, We're Gamer.
All right.
Like and subscribe. Subscribe and like.
Remember that. Like and subscribe. I've heard that in a long time. That's hilarious. So, no, thank you again, Worry. Appreciate it. And then we have Game Logic. Logic, always a pleasure, man. Hopefully, they give you Forza Motorsport 6 on Sunday. But if you want to be found, let everyone know they can find you.
I'm good. I don't need to be found.
All right. And then we got...
you can find Game Logic on Damage Per Second podcast tomorrow if you would like to
oh, okay. Because Logic's going to be a DPS tomorrow.
Yep.
Nice.
I don't know, man. I appear to have riled up a lot of people, so I don't know if there's going to be a mob that shows up with pictures of Torchworks tomorrow.
That'd be fine.
People are overrated. Screw them.
And Slimo's good at handling the people with the pitchforks and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Yeah, Slimo does
my favorite pastime.
Yeah, hence the name Slimo Backslapped. But speaking of Slimo Backslapped, Slimo DPS.
Yep, tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mr. Gaming Forte, Mr. Game Logic. Everybody got game in their name but me. But we're going to have a good time. We're going to talk about, some of the things we talked about today as well as some other stuff. So, come on through, get a beer, kick back, have some fun.
No doubt. Should be a great show tomorrow. A big shout out to Gaming Forte. Forte, we miss you. Hopefully you're safe and sound. We also got B Money 101. B, let everyone know they can find you as well, man.
Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Same name, B Money 101. I've been on Street Fighter 6, so if you want to, just hit me up.
Oh, we say you want to get slapped down?
yeah, just pull up, man. Pull up. I still been training, messing around with a lot of the new characters. Manon is probably gonna be my main, but Kimberly is dope. Marissa's pretty good. So messing around, trying to just get my footing. But if you want to rock out, man, just hit me up.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be challenging B Money in Street Fighter 6. Just for those who are wondering. I know we talked about NBA 2K, but not Street Fighter. That's not gonna happen.
Street 2K didn't happen either. So what is going to happen?
That's because we were busy,
No, that's because you was ducking.
Nah, I was not ducking.
That's what that is.
Nope.
You're definitely ducking.
Nope. That is slander, sir.
Okay, so if you weren't ducking, you would have to say that at some point you told B when you would be available to play, right?
I think so. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
B, did that happen?
No, it did not.
Okay, that sounds like ducking to me.
No, it does not. We have busy lives, sir.
Okay, not that busy, but all right.
Yeah, so
if you're on the PlayStation Network, go ahead and download that NBA 2K23. If you want to get some games in, hit me up. I'll definitely we'll hop back on there as well. So
it's on PlayStation Network now.
That's right.
All right, B. Maybe we do NBA Finals game.
I'm down, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, look, everyone. Everyone, please check out Warrior Wort and Slow-Mo Backslap DPS tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on your channel, right, Slow-Mo?
Yep.
Yeah, Slow-Mo Backslap's channel. So definitely check that out. Game Logic will be on that show. And big shout out, I can't even talk. Big shout out to everyone in the live chat. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Do me a favor, smash the like button. And if you're new, subscribe, and like, as Warrior Wort said. And I may do a BRAP rant on Sunday after the Xbox showcase. So follow me on Twitter at BRAP_podcast so you get updated when with all the latest BRAP show news and all that other good stuff. So everyone have a great evening. We'll catch you next time.